And we're live. Welcome to another Thursday night jam with Jesus and SASquatch. We will be Dylan's here saying hello tonight. Right up. We'll be going over this Kyosho Ultima Joel Johnson replica they came out with for their 60th anniversary. It's a limited edition kit. And I didn't mention anything because I wasn't 100% positive Chris was going to have it, but we've got a sweet project he's working on that you guys will dig too. So, what's up, Mark? Budweiser, if you're taking us back to 90s beer ads with that comment. And I'm going to cut into this and open it. I know some people will probably be like, oh, that's a collector's item. You shouldn't open it, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't buy this for the collectability. I bought it because my buddy Daniel Rollins, who passed away, faithfully recreated this and gave it to Joel. Geez, probably 12 years ago, 13 years ago now. It's been quite a while. Probably 11, 12 years, I think. He took his time and found every single part because this is not like a factory Kyosho Ultima. He put a lot of different parts on it and customized it and made his own car for the Worlds, Kyosho based. And Kyosho went and faithfully reproduced all that from everything I've read. Unfortunately, not long after he finished it and gave it to Joel, Daniel got sick, and he got real sick and passed away pretty quickly in a few months, sadly, with the girls. But it's great. I'll share a picture today or tomorrow. There's a great picture of his girls holding the one he built that he gave to Joel, and then a picture of them now, all these years later, grown up, holding the box of this kit, which is really cool. Dirk Anderson from Old School RC was a big part of getting this produced. And so I'll probably even end up building it at some point. Like, I'm not a big Kyosho guy, never got into Kyoshos, but I had to have this one for those reasons because it's sentimental value. So this one's mine, and it is still sealed right now. Got 2 seals, and we're about to cut it up and open it up. And I mean, obviously, this isn't going to be like an unboxing where you see a finished car and all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be bags of parts and whatnot, but we'll get to check that out because this is a kit, not an RTR. And there it goes. Bam, 25% of the value gone. And I do like that they give you this carrying case on the box, made it convenient for bringing it in. So it's typical Kyosho packaging. I've built 1 or 2 now over the years, so I'm familiar with them. And it's just your typical kit full of all your bags of parts. You got your proper tires, front and rear with the foams. Here are the proper front and rear wheels, and everything's labeled nicely, as you can see. And they've got these bulk bagged into little bags. I see, like, this is a bulk bag here full of all kinds of parts. So we'll cut into these big ones and dig a bit too. Here is the proper body and the wing. And this car had mirrors added to the side. There's little dimples to install them in the Lexan right there. And it came with those. Here's typical chassis for the day. We'll see what's this. We got a Trinity Racing ad in here. And here is all our stickers and masking and the manual. So we'll get into this manual and the other goodies with this first and see what we got here. Yes, it was 87. And yeah, I probably will build it, Mark. I was working at a different hobby shop. This was quite a while before I started. And that's how I met Daniel. I'd known who he was from Old School RC on Facebook, and I'd seen some posts of the builds and stuff. But again, not being a huge Kyosho guy, it wasn't something I was super into. But Daniel was from the UK, and he was in Florida, in Orlando, on vacation with his family. And he came into the shop I was working at, and the shop I used to work at has like decades of dead ass inventory, stuff that's been sitting there for 30 years. And fortunately, we had, I think it was wheels that we had that he needed. Maybe tires, one of the two. I can't remember. It's been so long. I can't remember, unfortunately. We had some dye that he needed, the proper RIT, and I think it was RIT, and one or two other small things. We were able to hook him up with a few small items he'd had a hard time finding. So then we got to bullshit, and he was in there for like 2 hours because I realized he was an old school guy then. So we started to bullshit, and I got to learn more about this project he was doing and how in depth it was, and going for 100% accuracy and all that. And then we stayed in touch on Facebook, and we'd talk on the phone and BS and Messenger and on posts and all that kind of stuff for a while, until unfortunately he got sick. You got a bunch of 60th anniversary Kyosho stickers. This looks like mask. Oh yeah, cut lines and masking looks like right here for your body. I honestly have no idea. I see one of this, the top right there is your mirrors. I'm not sure what this part's for.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I have a manual, right? Here looks to be probably body maskings because it's pretty plain. I don't see any cut lines on it, but I'm sure they're there if I get to. Yeah, they're there. Once you start wrinkling it, you can find them. Here's all the proper stickers. What? Big time.
Nice.
So you got windows, numbers, sponsors, and then you got your other sticker sheet right here. I like the kind of comical.
Oh, I like the little cars. Those are rad. Those are rad.
Wow. Old Trinity Monster horsepower sticker. I don't know if that goes in the car, because quite frankly, that looks like it could be for a motor. So you could take a motor and put the Trinity on it to make it look more legit.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
What else? Yeah, and the manual gets straight into it. Right to steering bell cranks you start with. And they do a good job of listing all your hardware and parts. Damn, this white with the light against it. See if it'll focus. No, there you go. So they do
Nice.
very nice. It's pretty thick. So, and yeah, the beginning's just all your parts trees. Then after the bell crank, you're gonna get into diffs and transmission and all that. So this should be a fun build. It should be a pretty straightforward and simple build to do in, I don't know, 3 to 6 hours probably. I have no idea when I'll ever get to building it, but that will occur at some point in time. Whether it be
cool to build a old style rig, but it's a new, kit. That's gonna be kind of cool.
All right, and then they give you real nice parts explosions at the end. So that makes it real easy.
Like that's becoming rarer and rare to get a good parts explosion anymore.
Yeah, especially good ones. Lots of times if you get them, they're kind of shitty.
Yeah.
So everything you could want. There's nothing extra. I'm a little bit more story and stuff printed in here, but it's just straight up manual on how to build it. So we'll re-sleeve this so I don't lose stuff and destroy it. Back in your home for God knows how long. Could be 3 months, could be 8 years. We'll see. And now we'll get into these big bulk bags. This looks like it's all the plastics for the chassis, all your arms and knuckles and stuff.
So you're gonna paint it box art style, like exactly the way it was painted before?
Yeah, fortunately, this one's pretty easy because, as I recall, it's just a solid white paint job with stickers. I'll probably still have my buddy DW Designs do the paint for me on it, and he's a big fan. Or I've got one at the shop he's going to be buying. So yeah, I mean, they don't label these individual bags in the plastics, but it's easy and So as
Please
I
number
drop
the
it,
trees. If you built an
yeah,
old, number the trees. Yeah.
Japanese style of trees. So that, damn it, dropping everything. That makes it nice and easy.
Get a pair of sprue cutters and an X-Acto blade.
Yep. Now, there's the plastics bag. Okay. Got parts falling off already, trying to get lost. That's why I'm making sure to rebag everything. Otherwise, I will lose stuff. I will be very pissed off. Getting your home. And we got one bag left to look at. Looks like that's all the other hard parts, shocks, shock towers, all that stuff.
Mount Ranger, you gonna build the whole thing during the show? There you go.
I mean, if we did like a 3-hour show, I probably could. And who knows when it'll get built in several months or something. One of these times, I'll get bored and start building it during the show one of these weeks. Well, let's get into this one here.
Oh, it says Tiny and Dwayne here.
Hey, yeah, there it is. What's up, D-Bag? What's up, Tiny? Yours is safe and sound at the shop. That's Dwayne from DW Designs, Dwayne Walter. And
gotcha. That'd be your painter.
That'd be. So here's
bearings and bushings.
Shocks and springs.
Oh,
and
shocks. Okay.
It's bearings. These are labeled.
Bearings. Okay.
These ones are labeled bag E, bag A stuff.
Yeah.
This is a motor guard. Yep, bearings. You can see right there. Comes with pinions or pinion, grease, all that good stuff in here. This looks like it's transmission gear parts. Here are my CVDs and steering bell crank springs and stuff like that here in bag C. Bag B.
This is a 2-wheel drive buggy versus a BC8. There's a big difference in build.
Yeah, BC8 was a mess. Yeah, well, the V had 40 hours, and I beat that 40 hours. Those sons of it's like when you're racing Google. So there's your hour. It looks like I don't see the front in here, and more motor plate, and I think slipper parts and stuff like that in there.
Old school fiberglass tower, just like it was stock. That's cool.
And spare parts bag with some washers, clips, hardware, stuff like that. There's front shock. Ugh. Damn it. Mumbles tonight. There's the front shock tower.
The D-bag.
Yeah, there you go, Dwayne. It's your bag. This bag's for you. And, looks like more gears and other parts here in bag F, the foam padding, some tape, spur gear, Velcro strips, all that stuff in there. And that's all there is to it. Like, this should be a pretty damn quick and easy kit to build. So that's a good idea, MT Ranger. Maybe just build it during one of these shows. Maybe do it over the course of 2 or 3 shows. If we go an hour or 2 at a time, it should only take 2, maybe 3 shows to do.
I'll have to get a kit to build with you. Not one of these, maybe something else.
Yep.
I'm sure I've got something around here I can put together.
Coming out with another limited edition 60th anniversary kit of something. I can't remember what it is soon. So if you're a Kyosho guy, there's always that to look forward to. D-Bag probably knows what one that is. The D-Bag, especially for you. That's especially for you. I'm just an asshole. You're the D-Bag.
He's asking, does the chassis has D-Lam? D-Lam?
I don't think there's any D-Lam on the chassis. Why have people been having problems with them? I know in Europe and stuff they were getting them earlier. No, it looks solid. No delamination anywhere that I see. So you're good there. And ours came out of the same batch. So if mine's good, yours should be good. All right. Put away, put away. Everything back in its home. Now will the box close? Because I didn't pack it nearly as nice as Kyosho does. There we and
Never go back in the box, right?
and they give you it wants to reflect up, but they give you all the specs and stuff on the back here. Front shock stay and shocks. FRP shock stays, flexibility absorbs impact from the shock units and follow the original design and shape and color. Standard gold shocks combined with newly developed medium soft front springs. Servo stay and steering. In place of the mini steering servo that was fixed with double-sided tape. Yeah, a lot of people forget we used to just double-sided tape our servos.
Yeah.
The modern version of the Ultima uses servo mount compatible with modern low-profile servos that are popular today. The shape of the servo saber arm has also been changed. Okay, so this isn't 100% faithful, obviously, then to the 1987 version. They a few small minor updates.
Yeah.
Skid on the carbon chassis improves clearance over surface gaps, while front caster angle setting optimizes handling characteristics. Front knuckle and wheel shaft. Newly designed front wheel shaft with kingpin offset delivers improved straight line running stability as well as controlled initial steering response. And some of this stuff, again, D-Bag might know the answers to some of this stuff, is going to be, they may be saying it's newly designed or whatever, but that could also mean, well, it's not faithful to our original kit because we built it how Joel was running stuff. That I can't say.
I wish they'd mentioned that.
Yeah, it would have been cool if they gave you a page or two at the beginning of the manual explaining.
Like all the stuff he did different that was original, not the original to the original Ultima. Yeah.
I know he made a lot of little tweaks places. Gunmetal anodized aluminum motor guard is laser printed with the Kyosho 60th anniversary logo, which is exclusive to the special limited edition model. Rear wing. Polycarbonate rear wing and side plates have been recreated as per original JJ specifications. Okay. The large
that's cool.
Deliver improved stability to fully recreate the style and driving feeling of the original. Chassis features solid carbon graphite main chassis and FRP front rear shock stays. Servo stay and battery holder have also been added for ease of assembly and versatility. Equipped with the same body used on the Tomahawk two-wheel drive buggy, just like the original. Silver and pink striped decals with a variety of logos recreate the signature color scheme of the Joel Johnson spec. Side mirrors have also been recreated. They do have, okay, they give you like a paragraph of history here.
Okay.
At just 13 years of age, Joel Johnson won the 112 U.S. National Championship, and in 1987, he won the IFMAR World Championship in the 1/10 scale two-wheel drive buggy class. This was the first time a Kyosho machine won a world championship, and is still a legendary accomplishment that is talked about to this day. Unless you're AE, then they do it all the time. Sorry, I had to get a little AE dig in there. As the years went by, this world champion machine came to be known as the JJ Ultima, with numerous additional national world championships to his credit since 1987. Joel Johnson is still racing 1/8 scale cars at the very top level some 36 years later. Damn, I didn't realize he was still racing. That's cool. I thought like most of these guys from this age, he'd retired. So, there it is. If you're interested in one of these, probably going to be an eBay thing, or hope to God you find a shop that has one, because I believe Kyosho and all the distributors are already sold out. I get my stuff from HRP for these, and they pre-ordered these back in like July or August. And when I look now, they are out of stock. I don't think they had any extra. I think they were all sold out on pre-order. I know one of my buddies up in Canada said his local shop got several, and they still have a few up there. So you may still find them on eBay and in shops for a short while. They're $389.99. So that's what you're going to look to pay for it. Of course, since it's limited, they might be $600-700 on eBay. Who knows? I have not checked. Hey, what up, Wayne? He's saying some of the early kits had DLAM, but that's all right. Maybe it's good that we got ours a couple weeks after Europe then. So if you're interested in one of these, you better try and hunt one down quick because I doubt they'll be around. I tried to get a hold of Dirk tonight to get some more information because I knew he was a big part of getting this done. And I wanted to see if he knew the exact counts on what they did since it's limited. But unfortunately, it's a Thursday night. He's probably busy with wife and family and life and all that. I haven't heard back from him yet. My luck, I'll probably hear back from him like 10 o'clock right after we sign off or something. But that information up when I make a post later tonight or tomorrow in regards to Daniel and what he did and all that stuff. So yeah, anyone got any questions on it? I mean, obviously we didn't get too deep into it besides just looking at how it's packaged and how it comes and what it says in the box and the manual. But I can always try and answer any questions like Dwayne had asked about the D-Lam. Well, we know our kits should be good. I know mine's good. Yours should be, but I'm not opening it for you because I don't know what you want to do with it. And hopefully pretty good company. So even though it's limited, I'm guessing if you did get one with D-Lam issues, they would probably take care of you and you'd be able to get it resolved.
Are you going to put period specific electronics in it?
I probably will never even put electronics in it when I build it.
Just build it.
I'll build it as a roller and for display, and that's it. I'll never drive it or anything.
Not gonna run it at Vonats or anything?
No. I mean, I could, and I'd probably make people cry, which is kind of fun to do. I don't want to do that. This one means too much to me. Although, who knows? Maybe that's what Daniel will want me to do with it. Maybe Daniel will be like, "Oh, you better build that son of a bitch and load it up and run it at Vonats." And everything changes with time. I never plan to sell it, and It doesn't have to be perfect. So maybe you did just start to convince me that one of these years I'll run it at Vonats.
That'd be rad. Did kind of a tribute run,
For the most part, it looks pretty durable. So I think I'd be pretty safe running it in one of the slower classes and not have to worry about breaking stuff. Because of course, with something like this that I may never be able to get parts for again, that always becomes an issue.
Right.
Yeah, Mark, race that thing in Vonets. Fuck it. Maybe I probably will. And then if I do that, it'll all get thrown with modern electronics. I'll throw a Reese 299 LP in it, and then lithium and some brushless setup, probably a Tekin setup, and call it good. And then have it loaded up with $100 in electronics to use it for a weekend and never again.
Come on, find an old Novak ESC and a Trinity Monster and fucking. What?
That's all over there in drawers and boxes. I can't remember what I did use in it. Again, I know people that would know right off the top of their head, but so yeah. So looks like everyone's got what they needed for it. He has a Novak already. Yeah, Mark knows. Things laying around still from mid 80s to late 90s. So I guess what we'll do is transfer on to a sweet project Mr. SASquatch has for your scale audio. This is great.
I guess I could show you where this is at, since this is actually kind of getting buttoned up now. So awesome. I got front canopy going on it. So it's the front cockpit area here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all buttoned up. I got a steel rod in it now instead of aluminum, so it's nice and solid.
Awesome.
Reprinted a couple of parts that weren't very good. So this is just when I get time to print the parts and design the parts for the the scale shit, it'll be more done. So yeah.
Oh, essentially that is a running, driving, ready to go finished rig. You're just on the detail work now.
Yeah, it's a roll. It's like a slider. It's a roller right now. There's no electronics, but I got everything and it's all ready to go. So it's just all the little detail shit, making sure all the screws are tight, just kind of going through and sorting it.
Yeah. Before
I really button it up and do what I'm gonna do. But yeah, it's on its way now. So
awesome.
Close. I'll be soon. When I get it done, I'll more updates on it. Like there's a lot of work to do still.
Yeah.
So on to my next project. I had a crazy fucking harebrained idea to make a gyro cycle. So as you don't know what a gyro cycle is, it's a one wheel gyros, like one wheel bicycle. You sit inside the wheel, and
Cut
or
machines.
at least if it was a full scale one, you would sit inside the wheel. And then you have what you have on the inside is a gyroscopic wheel that's spinning constantly, working as a gyro. And then on the outside of that frame, you have your drive wheel that would, give you forward and backward movements. So yeah, I've been stewing in my head for a while, just kind of designing it in my head. And the first step was, okay, let's see if I can design the gyro part of the frame. So I designed the frame, designed the inner wheel. How am I going to do the gearing? How am I going to mount the motor? Blah, blah, blah. So here comes prototype number one. So I've got a brushless motor here. The gear is literally over the motor, so it covers the motor. And this whole inner ring is a big gear, basically. You can't see that. You kind of see the teeth on it there.
There you go. Yeah, now you can see them.
And so that spins this. And then I have weights I'm going to put in this, but I haven't put them in yet. But even without the weights, the gyro function of it is really strong. Like it works. I mean, the prototype works. So I have here, you can see I've got recesses for bearings. And that's basically what I've done on the inside. So this whole wheel is riding on bearings all the way around this. So it's a nice smooth movement of it. And then on the outside, there will be a piece that kind of is captured by this frame. And I'm going to redesign it with double bearings all the way around. And then I'll have a similar system here. So it'll sit like this. This motor will be kind of forward. There'll be another motor here. And currently the way I have it is it'll have a double belt system. There'll be a belt on each side that comes down to a shaft. Then that shaft will hit a similar gear train to this. It'll have a gear train on each side of the wheel. And that motor will then run the outer wheel that drives it.
Cool.
So for steering, yeah, how you can make it turn. So for steering, there's going to be kind of think of it like saddle packs, counterweights that'll be slung down low to give it weight, because it needs to have enough weight so when it moves forward, it doesn't rotate, so it can keep planted. So that will be like a frame that'll sit here that'll have probably like the batteries will sit in there with some extra weight.
Yep.
And that'll be on a geared rack that'll kind of be at an angle. It'll be an arched gear rack. It'll be servo driven. And so what'll happen is to turn the gyro, it'll be mixed in the radio. The gyro is going to slow down, and then that whole weight is going to shift. It'll pivot in the middle on a rack. And so if I wanted to turn right, the gyro would slow down, the weight would throw right, which would tilt it. And once it tilts, it'll rotate from the gyroscopic movement. And then when I want to get back on it, I'll straighten the steering out and the gyro will spool back up. And that'll give us our turning movement. Theoretical still, but it's pieces. First thing was the gyro. I know that works. It's not blowing up in my face. I'd spool it up for you guys, but it blows my mic out and you can't really see much when I spool it up. So the next step is doing the outer ring, and then I'm going to have to come up with a weight system, even if it's a stationary weight system, because without the weight, once I spool the gyro up, the whole thing wants the torque from gyro spooling up. So I need to get the weight on there. I need to get the outer ring on there and get the electronics mounted physically in it. So that way I can spool up the gyro and just kind of push it. I'm just going to freewheel it and see how it rolls, and see if it stays vertical, if it can go over bumps. Once I know how that works, then it's going to be, okay, make sure it all works reliably, and then design that rack to move and pivot. And also trying to do it to where I want to make it somewhat scale. I want to have a figure guy in here sitting on a bike, on a bike seat, and handlebars and big exhaust pipes coming out of it, like, full on steampunk style or something. So I want it to be scale too. So I have to think about that in my design process of doing all the engineering on it. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. I don't know how much I'll be working on it, but it's been a while to get to this point. So
yeah. But then when you started working quick.
Well, I've been designing it in my head for a while. I mean, it was here. It was just then I got to throw it in the CAD, and then I got to print it.
Yeah.
There was a couple hurdles. Like I don't have a printer that can print this ring this big. The white ring on the inside, the gyro, I literally had to like finagle my biggest printer to print it. It was the absolute biggest thing I could print on it. So then the frame on here, I had to print in 4 pieces, and they're staggered, puzzled, and then there's actually 3mm studs going through the frame all over that holds that frame together. So same with the wheel. I'm gonna have to print the wheel in pieces too and do a similar thing. And that's an engineering feat in its own to figure out how I'm gonna do that and keep it together so it doesn't blow to pieces. So
and for your thing, like before we were on live, he had it and he can pitch it like 5 or so degrees either way, and it just balances itself still.
yeah, it
So
holds.
that means
Yeah.
your turn theory should probably work pretty well. And what you'll have to
Yeah.
probably exactly what
I just
RPM.
don't know. I mean, stationary, I know I can turn it. I'm just not sure what it's going to do under momentum. I don't know how it's gonna. You just got so many forces at play. You got the gyroscopic force, you have your forward momentum. They're all going to wreak havoc on each other. So I just don't know how it's going to turn once it's under forward movement, how that gyro is going to, how it's going to move over, and it's going to figuring out RPMs. And so lots of programming in the radio to get like, okay, the gyro wants to be at this RPM to turn this way. And if it's too slow to fall over, it's too fast, it's too strong. Like there's going to be a lot of this fucking with it.
Yeah.
To get it to work. So here, I'll spool it up.
It's pretty loud right now, but fortunately his mic mutes it out for us.
Yeah. Yeah, the mic blows the mic out.
As MT Ranger saying, it'll be interesting to see how it turns because of gyroscopic procession.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going to slow the gyro down, but then I'll spool it up.
And and all the real videos I've ever seen of these things, like it's I've never seen a video where someone riding it went well. Yeah, see, he can get it to balance tipped already, so pretty impressive for a first prototype attempt. It works really well.
So yeah, I don't know how much you guys saw there, but I'm just kind of keeping it in my hand, and it's tilting and moving, and it's keeping itself there, but without the weight, it wants to throw itself over.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of keep it in place so it doesn't blow. It doesn't just because if it does fall over right now, shit's gonna hit the fan, proverbially.
Damn it! I have to start all over.
Well, I'm gonna have to redesign everything but the 2 gears anyway here. I mean, this whole frame's gonna get redesigned. So I mean, do I want it to blow up though? No. Not with my face this close to it.
Eyes are pretty sensitive.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's pretty stable. It's going to be fun to watch you first learn to run it. And wow, that stayed stable way over. It just wants to spin because it's on such a sharp point there.
That was 30 degrees almost.
That was a long ways. Yeah.
Well, it starts rotating because it doesn't have the weight. So, but yeah, it was tilted over quite a far that way, and it held. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, nobody else has done it before, so.
Yep. I am to see the first drive because, like I said, every video I've ever seen of the real ones, it never goes well. The motherfuckers always end up flipping or almost dying or running into a car or a house or some shit out of control. They're nuts.
Yeah. So it's just in my head, it all works. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
You slow the gyro down. You slow the gyro down, you're going to lose the stability, which will allow it to tilt and move. So it's just going to be a fine balance of, because your throttle, your steering mix is going to be mixed into the gyro's throttle. So the more you steer, you'll get out of throttle more. But as soon as you bring the steering back to center, the throttle is going to immediately come back up. So then the gyro is going to be back to stable. It's just how. Is it going to come back to vertical? Is it going to stay angled? I have a feeling, and I've seen stuff like this before. I have a feeling under straight movement, it's going to tilt one way a little. just because
Oh,
the
yeah.
gyro, the mechanical gyro doesn't like being perfectly vertical. So I have a feeling it's going to actually, you're going to see it driving like this, where and then like the counterweight's going to be level with the ground.
Yeah.
And I think, so I think I'm going to have trouble turning one direction. It depends on which tilt angle it wants to stay at. So it's going to be interesting. And then I'm not sure which way do I need the gyro to rotate in correspondence to the main wheel. I think if I reverse them, it's going to cancel out the gyroscopic precession, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be better to go forward with the momentum or against it. Like, there's so much to figure out still. And like, I'm reading online, and like, you find people getting in arguments on forums about and nobody's done anything like this. So like, I'm reading shit about all kinds of other shit, like gyros and stuff. What's that, Nick?
The people argue on the internet about shit? No way.
Right. So it's gonna be wild. I mean, you guys can follow along with the wild journey as I work on it. I am right. I've been sick for 2 weeks. I haven't fucked with anything, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna be wild. I'm crazy to see how it's gonna go. So I need to get some of Holmes's little brushless ESCs, the little small ones. I can't remember what they're called right now. The Crawlmasters. No, Crawlmaster?
No, BR minis are brushed, I think.
Yeah, I need to get a hold of some smaller brushless ESCs for it.
The little crawl masters, yeah.
Yeah, because I've got the Sidewinder 4 right now. It's just too big. Like, I can make it work, but I'm gonna need 2 of them. So I need to find some small ESCs because they're not pulling a lot of load. There's so much gear reduction. So but it needs to be a surface ESC. It can't be a plain one. Well, I guess a plain one would work for the gyro because it's not changing direction.
Yeah,
and
you
actually,
don't need
for the drive one, all I need is a brake. I ain't going backwards with this fucking thing. So
yeah.
I just need a brake to slow down. So I guess
Yeah, that's true. That'll be something to think about whenever you're driving it too. No reverse.
yeah, no reverse. But you can just pivot in place. I mean, it should, in theory, pivot in place. So yeah, it's gonna be different to drive for sure. I mean, I have no idea what it's gonna be like to drive yet. So
Mark's saying maybe reverse motorbikes. That could be true.
well, there's the problem is you're not steering a wheel. So you're not steering a wheel and laying it over. I'm shifting a weight. So I need to shift the weight the same direction that I want it to move because I want it to tilt into that weight. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be like a dirt bike. I was thinking about that because you turn left to go right. And I mean, I used to play with the Venom bikes and shit, so I know all that. But because you're not 2 wheels, you're one, you're trying to change the angular momentum of the gyroscopic precession. A lot of big words there, but you're changing the angular momentum of the gyro. So that weight, along with slowing the gyro down, is going to shift the gyroscopic precession.
Yeah.
And then you're going to spool the gyro back up and keep that weight in position until it gets going. So that weight system will probably have an electronic gyro that'll be in the receiver to keep that weight system in, to keep it perpendicular. Even if the gyros kink, if the frame's kinked, it's going to keep that weight saddle system level. So there'll probably be a gyro running a digital servo on that rack. So there's a lot to think about, a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Yeah, the smallest gyro I can think of is the little Reefs micro one for the drifters. Because lots of times they're fairly big. I like Mark. Brakes are for pussies. Send it.
Yeah. I want it to fucking work. I want to be able to pull it out and go fuck with whatever I want and have a fucking blast with it. And just like my goal is to have it done by Proline next year. I want to take it and the Borderlands buggy to Proline and just blow people's fucking minds and just watch them go, what the fuck? And then pull out the buggy, pull out the Borderlands buggy, whoa, and then pull out the gyro and be like, fuck.
Yeah. Works.
Yeah, I just want to blow some people's minds at Proline next year.
Empty Ranger says, I work on gyros for ships. The theory on them to point north is mind-blowing. Probably pretty close to bikes. Same principles will likely apply. Yeah, I would think it'll work a lot like once a bike is rolling.
Yeah, no, it wants, it wants to stay vertical, but if I give it just the slightest, and this might be because there's not a lot of weight in it yet. If I give it the slightest little bit of energy from the side, it takes it and it starts to tilt. But then at some point it does stabilize and it holds that tilt. So I'm hoping that with some weight on the bottom, a little more weight in the gyro, that weight will do the same thing. If I move that weight a little bit, it'll angle it over. And then if I kick that weight back, it'll angle it back. So I'm hoping I'll have that. You know, I don't want it to be drastic. I just want it to be enough to turn.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And I know sitting still in my head, sitting still, I think I can make it rotate on axis with the weight and the gyro.
Well, wanting to do that already when it hit further over and it was holding, but then wanting to spin. So
yeah, the idea though is I want it to almost fall over. Like I'm slowing the gyro enough down that it's tilting, and the weight's bringing it around. And then once it gets where I want, I get off the steering, the gyro spools back up, the weight counter ends, and then it, you know, brings it vertical. So there's what's that?
A lot to figure out.
Yeah, there's still a long ways to go. Like, I mean, that's like step 1 of 5. Like, you know, it's like hurdle 1 of 5. Gyro work. The gyroscopic precession's working. It's doing that part. So, and like I said, I haven't put the weights in it yet. I need to grow some balls and put the weights in it and see if it blows up on me.
Put a face shield on.
Yeah, just blow a fucking shield and just.
All right, do your worst, fucker.
So, yeah, I know it's funny. General Grievous's bike, and actually, it's funny. What spurred this is Borderlands 2 or 3 of the game has bikes like this. So that's kind of what sparked that idea. I was like, oh, the Borderlands buggy, and then I'm like, oh wait, they got this really cool fucking unicycle like gyro bike thing going. And like, I bet I can do that. And then
well, at this point, I mean, this is Borderlands rig number 2. Borderlands. And have the whole Borderlands collection.
I don't. Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones, but yeah. If you slow it, it'll process one way, and speed it up, it'll process the opposite way. That makes sense. That makes sense. So you just got to find the sweet spot. Yeah, it'll be weird because when I throw the weights into it, when I throw that weight system into it, it's gonna fuck with it too. So
yeah. How much weight are you gonna use? Just a few grams, or?
I think it'll have to be pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Right now I'm running a 3-cell 1300. I'm thinking 2 of these, one on each side.
Weights in the gyro.
Oh, weights in the gyro. Well, currently I've got is just 4mm nuts, like every 2 inches.
Yeah.
So it won't be a ton. It's not going to be a lot, but you got to think is as you come farther away from the center of the rotation, you're multiplying it. So a little bit multiplies a lot by the time you get it out there. So I'll probably put a nut like in every other one first and see how it acts. And then we'll see how that acts, and then I'll go and put one in every hole and cross my fingers. So well, you know what they say, it's the shocker, the spocker, and then the showstopper.
Yeah. And stunner.
And then the stunner.
Poor dirty, terrible.
A little
people.
Bit.
All right. Well, yeah. Now Mark's saying, and MT Ranger might know this from his experience with it at work, you could steer it with gyro speed in theory then. But yeah, I guess slowing it down, speeding it up.
Yeah, but I don't know how reliable which way it's going to tilt under low speed. If it's already leaning this way a little and you get off, is it going to keep going, or is it leaning? You know, so you got to have that weight. That weight has to be in there to kind of shift and throw that angular momentum around a little bit. It's going to have that, and then also just for counteracting forward thrust, you know, it's going to need that weight.
Yeah. I would think another gyro mounted 90 degrees to the wheel axis.
Yeah.
that gyro will do better at processing and giving the right tilt and rotation without changing mass.
That is the best way to do it for sure. If I had another mechanical gyro, 90 degrees horizontal, inside of that gyro, in theory would be the best way to do it, but there's no room. It wouldn't work. I mean, you could I do it mechanically? Yes, but then it's not gonna look like anything cool. So
Yeah,
my battle is right. So my battle is scale and function. Function, yes, I could do it all day long. Like I do robotics and all that shit. I can make it work functionally, but I want it to look cool too. So that's going to be the battle. Like I mean, mechanically, yeah, I'm pretty confident mechanically I can make it work if I didn't care about looks at all. But yeah,
it's big enough. You can have a pretty big character. Mark says take the stator gyro from the Pro Mode and hide it in the rider figure.
well, the problem is it's got to be 90 degrees. It can't be on the same axis. So it would
and it's just sideways.
It's pretty big. I mean, it's
pretty decent size. You're gonna be able to what a good
thin. It's thin, but it's big around. So yeah, I don't know. It might be a thing, but then like, is it big enough at that point? You know, I mean, how big do I need that gyro to be to then counteract the main gyro? And there's all kinds of stuff. Machine my own motor. If I had a lathe, a CNC lathe, I would. I don't have a CNC lathe.
Yeah,
I have access to a CNC mill, but not a lathe.
Having the expensive tools to do it.
Yeah, then it does come to a point too where it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. I mean, I'll go there. I've done it before. I'll fucking go there. But there's also, I mean, like if I had a CNC lathe, then yeah, I could do all kinds of shit. But yeah, there's only so much I have. So
yeah, good tools are expensive too. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's nice because you have it. But
yeah, Mount Rangers. As Mount Ranger said, an outrunner rotor is basically a gyro. It's just a really small one.
Exactly.
It really is.
Well, yeah, because that's one of the reasons they're so nice in a crawler. It's because it's just a big flywheel spinning around for torque.
Yep, all those magnets. Yep. So I mean, yeah, in theory, if you had you have those big pancake quad motors for drones. I mean, they get pretty big.
Yeah.
Might work. The problem too is a lot of the weight isn't on the ream. There's a lot of weight in the center, and so for the gyro motion, I think you want the weight more farther out, and not all just throughout the whole middle. I think that affects it too.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah, there's a lot to figure out, and a second mechanical gyro would be great, but I'm hoping I can get away without doing that.
Yeah, because the more scale you can make it look, the cooler it will be for sure.
Right. I mean, it's all in my head. So
to do it and it not even be scale, but work awesome. But it'll be so much doper if it's scale and there's a dude in there and shit.
No, exactly. There's a whole plan in my head. It's all there, just making it work. So I wish it was a little bit bigger, about 15% bigger would be rad, but I'd have to buy another printer, which it's a great excuse to buy a bigger printer, but it's not a linear price point with printers. They kind of, you get bigger.
Yeah, they get a little exponential at the point and costs increase.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like $400 or $500 to go big enough to what I want to. But then I'm not going to use it for anything else. I don't print big stuff that often. So yeah.
Although maybe you don't print big stuff that often because you don't have a big printer.
Chicken before the egg, no problem.
Yeah.
No, it takes so long. I mean, even this ream, it was 16 hours to print that ream, which I've printed longer before, but it's printing big stuff is just, I've got battery backups on all my printers and stuff if power goes out, but it's so easy to have something go wrong. The longer your print goes, the higher the chances of something fucking up. And you're like, 80% of the way into your print, like 2 days in, and then it fucks up, and you're like, son of a bitch. That's just 2 days of time wasted. And a fucking roll of filament, so.
And yeah, you're right, MT Ranger, that you definitely need super high RPM if you don't have a lot of weight spinning.
Yeah. But you're still also, your your mass, the mass of the physical thing you're moving also comes into play. I mean, yeah, you can
Yeah.
spend a lot of RPM, but if the gyro doesn't have enough mass to counteract the other gyro's mass, it's minute. So yeah, I'm gonna go the way I got it, and we'll see with the weights and the electronic gyro and
Well, it should look pretty badass too, watching like the weights stay centered essentially. You're
well,
not
the
really
gyro and the rider, so the rider's like seat and the weights and all that are gonna shift together. So the rider's gonna be sitting on this thing, and that whole thing's sway. So it'll look cool because it'll not only will it be functional, it'll give it it'll make it look more real and live. You know, like the guy sitting there with his handlebars, he's and like his feet will go down into those saddles and make them look like fuel tanks or something. Like so, it's that whole thing will move, and he'll be sitting on it, and it'll move, and so it'll give it a really cool look too. But lots of CAD work to do on that part. The rack was the hardest one. I figured that out in my head, but there's still a lot, like just pivot points and angles and weight distribution and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be really fucking cool if it works.
Yeah, I see.
And really, really unique. So I think I'm gonna have to buy a bunch of like 10 scale buggy tires that hack up to glue onto the outer wheel to give it tires. Because they're about the right size, like a 1.9-ish, 2.0-ish.
Front's probably right.
No, backs. It'll be pretty wide, actually. Yeah, it'll be pretty wide, which will help in the stability too. I mean, it'll be a decently wide running track. So, but
Software will probably make it easier to turn too, because it's not turning on a hard edge like it is right now. So
yeah, it'll have a rollover in a little bit, so it'll be wide, but it'll have a nice bevel to it on the edges. So that's the other thing too I got to think about is there's not gonna be any suspension. So like things to think about there. There's no suspension for it for nothing. It's gonna be rigid. So
it'll be airborne sometimes, I'm sure, which will be fucking awesome.
Once I get it right, I'm gonna just fucking send it. I have send everything. On my fucking low seat buggy last year, my low seat fit scale, like fucking send it.
That's potentially MT Ranger. That is right up his alley. He's like, I bet you Mr. Holmes could math it out in an evening.
I think I talked to him about it briefly last week. I don't remember. There was a time when me and him were talking and you stepped away. I think I talked to him a little bit about it, but I still had a few things I hadn't worked out in my head yet. So
yeah,
I can math it out. I just don't want to.
Exactly.
It's just like I understand the math. Like it's one of those things I'm good at math, but I fucking hate it. So I've mathed it out enough to know it's possible without mathing the whole fucking thing out. So like I'm not gonna get into the diameter of the reed and the weight. I'm not fucking no thanks.
Yeah, you'll just go old.
I thought about that too, Mark, doing foams. I think I might do that too. Glue some foams down just to give it a little a
little suspension.
Yeah, a little bit of cushion for the pushing. I'm so far away from that step though. Oh my god, I'm so far away from that step.
And that's towards the end.
That's like the last thing to think about is traction.
Traction, yeah, that's right.
It's funny to think the traction's like so far on the list.
Well, when you're making something out of nothing, you gotta make sure it works first.
There's just steps. Yeah, it's R&D, research and development.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
just cool. I'm just thrilled that like the first fucking run like this. I didn't print these multiple times. This is like the first print of all the pieces, and it didn't fucking explode. Like I'm just happy that went down like that. So
and it pulls up pretty fast. So
yeah, no, it spools up quick. It doesn't chirp. It doesn't. It's noisy just because there's. I was telling Nick earlier. There's no way to the gyro free floats in the frame, so it's riding on bearings, but it free floats side to side. So it rubs on the filament, the PLA rubs on itself, and that's where the noise is coming from. Plus, there's probably a little bit of play in the whole gyro against the bearings this way, so that's probably some noise too. But I'm going to reprint the reen with a groove down the middle, centered, so that the reen will capture. It'll get captured on the gyro edges or the ball bearing edges. So the ball bearing will capture it and keep it from rubbing. I'll probably print the frame a little wider now that I know that it's not a big deal. So I can give it a little more tolerances between the gyro wheel spinning and the frame.
Yeah.
And then the outer wheel, right now I have it designed with one row of bearings all the way around. I'm going to redesign that with two rows. So there'll be two bearings next to each other because there's going to be so much, it's going to carry all the weight on those bearings. And so having two of them, I think will be better than one.
Yeah.
I might redesign it 5x10s, go with a slightly bigger bearing. All kinds of shit. So I'm just trying to decide if I want to implement changes now or print the outer reen and see if it rolls first and then implement changes. Like, how far many steps back do I want to go before I go forward again? So
yeah. What's up, Sean? I didn't think about that, but MT Ranger says make a TPU anti-foam style wheel tire for it. That would be interesting. You've seen those, right? Those new foams.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I could 3D print that.
Yeah.
I have TPU. I thought about using TPU, but I wanted something that was stickier for traction because in that tilt, I want it to kind of plant. But yeah, if I did that anti-foam style with the hexagon, it might be worth trying.
Yeah.
So,
well, hey, at least we're figuring out a bunch of the last step.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I mean, all the steps are in my head. The biggest hurdle right now for me, I think, is going to be designing that whole weight distribution rack that can pivot and move. And yeah, I think that's my next big challenge. I have it designed out in my head. I know the math that I have done and the angles and the way it'll pivot and move, but that's going to probably get revised a bajillion times, especially as I get closer to the end and making it more scale. That'll get revised a ton. So I mean, right now it's in that hard mechanical phase where it's just like the raw pieces, the minimum parts to make it move, and the final version I'm sure will look significantly different than this. So,
well, like Mark says, yeah, good luck with the hard parts.
There's lots of hard parts. Yeah. Lots of lube.
Yeah.
I mean, like, would you guys like to see me do some CAD work one night? Like, if I was sharing my screen and fucking around with CAD, is that something you guys would be interested in, or do you care, or whatever? I know some people ask about doing the CAD work. What's that?
Yeah. I'm sure some of them would.
Yeah, because I could share my screen in Fusion while I'm doing some shit and explain what I'm doing and why, and like, we could play around in there if somebody wants to see that, and I can answer questions about what I'm doing. But
and that's cool because no one ever does that shit. So
yeah, no, it's
so if they don't know what's going on, curious about it, they can see how it works.
Yeah, it's just how I fuck around in Fusion.
Fucking cool concept, Darren.
Oh, they're right here. I forgot about them. They're pissing me off. So it's this, the electronics work fine. It's the fucking sound files pissing me off. I got to do a wave file. It has to be a certain bit rate. It's got to be a certain size and make it sound good. And it's right there staring at me in the face. I know I need to work on it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean.
Fusion is great, Darren. I like Fusion.
Fusion's awesome. I love it. I play
very well.
Pretty much
it. Clean and easy to use.
Yeah. I fucking SolidWorks a little bit too. SolidWorks is cool, but Fusion's that's my jam. I like Fusion.
I did a bunch of AutoCAD in school in the late 90s. And then I didn't do anything for 25 years and then got Fusion and picked it back up. And the thing with Fusion too is there's that Lars guy or whatever from Europe, I think, that works for Autodesk. and makes videos, and he has like a series of, hey, you just got Fusion, this is how it works, and it's like 5 half-hour long videos, and he builds an electrical box.
Yeah.
Shows you all the tricks, like do it like this, not like this. That way, if you adjust shit later, it's not all fucked. It'll all adjust together. And so, like 5 hours time, and you basically learn how to do anything you could ever need to do. You don't have to sit there and read, to waste hours and hours fucking shit up. You just spend an evening watching videos and then start applying it, and voila.
Yeah, I got into it about 7 years ago, and everything I designed prior to that was all hand drawn. I had a drafting table and all my French curves and my compasses and my protractors, and I designed everything by hand. I mean, I was designing circuit boards, litmus paper, double layers, and that's just the way I did it. And I wanted to learn how to design in CAD 3D. I mean, at that point I had the 3D printers, but I was printing what other people were making, and I was like, I want to learn how to do this. And I had never done it, no prior experience, and it took a while. It took me about a year to wrap my head around it. And once I got it though, then it was like gone. I'm off to the races. You know, it's what can I fuck with? So
that's part of
perfect at it.
If you know how to draft before using some sort of CAD program, you're way ahead of the game, because you know all the theory and how it works. You just have to learn how to do it digitally.
Well, the hard part for me was the 3-dimensional, like extruding and like wrapping my brain around taking a 2-dimensional, extruding it, and then how to intersect. And like it was like in my head it made sense, but it was like, okay, how do I make the program do what's in my head? And once I got that, once I bridged that gap, then I have it. So
yeah, because of course when we're drafting, we're doing each side, front, back, top, bottom, and they're all pictures.
3 views, 2-dimensional. Yeah. It's just a different animal.
Lars Christensen, that's how I learned. He says, yep, CAD makes life a lot easier, that's for sure, no doubt.
Sure.
When I designed the short wheelbase scale driveline kit for GCM, I was talking about doing it to mine, and Chris was like, well, if you want to design it, we'll make it. I was like, okay, and it took me like 2 years to get it all done, you know. My project I got to at random times. Send him all pictures, because I didn't have CAD. So I just drafted it all. And I sent him all the pictures, and I'm like, this works for you, right? He's like, yeah, it's perfect. I didn't know anyone still drafted.
Yep.
So there you go, buddy.
I'm probably the youngest guy I know that still does mechanical drawing. I don't know anybody younger than me I've ever met that still does mechanical drawing and drafting.
Yeah, that's probably not even really taught anymore.
No, well, when I went into high school, that's what I wanted to do. I was a freshman in high school. I'm like, I want to do CAD, mechanical drawing. And when we were walking through the rooms, like before school started, they had all the drafting tables in there. I'm like, oh, that's badass. These beautiful drafting tables, counterweighted straight edges, and just beautiful, all adjustable. Halfway through the year, they ripped them out and put all computers in there. And I'm like, no, I'm done. I don't want to do this. And which is so funny because my background's computers. So you'd think, oh, but no, it's not what I wanted. And I still have a drafting table, and I still have all my shit. I haven't used it in forever. But
and I couldn't find one.
They're hard to find anymore. It's more for artist stuff now. And you don't have your balanced straight edge, which is the big thing. You got to have a nice balanced straight edge. And I haven't used mine in a while, but I still have it. I could pull it out if I needed to. So but I learned
take up so much space.
Yeah, well, and like for PCB and board design, I've got Eagle now, which they've actually integrated into Fusion. So PCB stuff I can do in Eagle, now Fusion, and then Fusion for all my 3-dimensional 3D stuff. So yeah.
Darren says, if you can fusion a set of V8 headers, you can design anything. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's some tricky shit with headers. You gotta, what you call it? I can't remember the tool that you use for it. There's all kinds of tools and tricks, but
chill out.
You have to think. Yeah, you have to think where you are and where you want to go, and design that before you can even connect them. Yeah.
Get your bone. Get this son of a bitch. Ugh.
Oh.
All right. Well, I guess looks like all the questions are answered. We've gone through everything we had, I think, so we can probably call it a night and get to dinner and hang with the family and everything.
Sounds good.
watch some TV and work some more and go to bed. Woohoo! Thrilling night. It's a quiet Thursday around the night.
Dylan wants to study.
He needs some attention too.
Oh, Dylan.
You need to go play, huh? You need to go play.
Oop,
Yeah,
ear went up. Ear was
okay. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night, and we will be back next Thursday.
Get him, Dylan. Get him, Dylan.
And next week, I'll probably be doing some work on the excavator. The guys at the shop took it apart, and we found some bad planetary gears, so they just slapped it back together. So I've got some of the, I don't know what you call them, shields, drills, cages, whatever, that go over the windows, so rocks and sticks and stuff can't come through. I need to add. I've had for like 2 years and I haven't put on. I need to take those motors and drives back apart to get pictures of the planetary gears, to send to Tang, to get new ones. So both sides, unfortunately, had at least one gear that had tooth off, which is funny because it was working just fine.
Riding your fat ass around in it.
I don't. Damn it, Dylan. So yeah, that's what we'll be up to next week. I'm sure Chris will have something going on. He always seems to. So we shall see you guys in a week. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for stopping by. Peace.
Later.